as we all know, the biological and social stimulation of the family leads to private reflection outside party needs.
You're a thought criminal.
Unorthodox loyalties which can only lead to thought crime.
There is truth, and there is untruth. Is the freedom to say 2 + 2 = 4.
Clasp your hands behind your heads.
Surrounded.
Courage, strength, and youth are sacrificed. Who are
There are thought criminals who maintain resistance is not real. Believe me, Winston, it's very real. A brother from the age of the thought police.
30 to 40 group, take your places, please.
double plus good, this? Junard, I don't think there's a single piece of meat in this stew.
You knew this would happen, Winston. The individual is only a cell, Winston.
The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. So the next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis. to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. It's divided in 4 basic stages: demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization.
The Attorney General, Dominic Greaves, expected to make an announcement today as to whether there should be a new inquiry into the death of Dr. David Kelly. And that, I think you've written, is something that has weighed heavily on your mind over the years. Would you welcome a new inquiry?
I think I'll let him make his statement on this. I mean, there was an inquiry which went for 6 months, headed by a senior law lord. So, I mean, he'll obviously make his statement. I really know nothing about that.
Were the questions answered sufficiently for you at the last inquiry?
Well, as far as I know, they were, but maybe he has different information. But frankly, I doubt it. But I'll wait and see what he says. And I honestly don't. I've no information that is different from the information given to that inquiry that went, as I say, over 6 months.
But obviously we'll cooperate with inquiry if he decides
well,
one should
we
go
always cooperate with inquiries, and so we should, of course. But I think what he will focus on is whether there really is anything left from the inquiry, as I say, that went over 6 months, and you know, it was one of the most detailed inquiries that has taken place.
So your view is like there is no need to reopen this?
My view is I don't know whether he knows something that I don't know.
On the 3rd day after exposure, the casualties begin. Dead sheep can be seen further down the line. It is, of course, necessary to confirm that they've died of anthrax.
In 1942, on Grinyard Island off the coast of Scotland, the British conducted their first scientifically controlled BW field trials. Scientists exploded anthrax bombs near immobilized sheep to determine if the spores would survive an explosion and retain the ability to infect anyone nearby. Test results showed that anthrax could in fact be effectively dispersed by explosive devices and could also remain viable in the soil for decades. This brought home the realization that if an anthrax bomb were dropped on a city like London, the results could have been catastrophic. Grinyard Island was declared off limits until it was decontaminated in the 1980s. It's now safe for both humans and animals.
At this pivotal moment, I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must continue to fight against the global pandemic. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero. We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development.
over 951 cubic feet of granite make up the 11 pieces of the monument. The overall height is 19 feet 3 inches from the surface of the ground to the top of the capstone.
Thank you. Congratulations.
There are slots and holes in the center stone that have astrological significance because they have been cut at precise angles to permit accurate readings of the sun and moon at various times of the year.
Standing on the highest point of Elbert County, the Georgia Guidestones have raised a lot of questions. 4 upright stones more than 16 feet high, with support stones totaling almost 238,000 pounds. And there's a message sandblasted in 12 languages in letters 2 inches tall. The sponsors of the mysterious project are said to be an anonymous group of out-of-state Americans promoting the concept of the conservation of mankind. Here's the mystery, though. Elbert and granite businessman Joe Findlay was contacted to build the project by a man using the fictitious name of R.C. Christian. Granite City Bank President Wyatt Martin served as intermediary, handled the escrow account for all funds, and says he'll carry the secret of who R.C. Christian is to his grave. Well, in spite of what we don't know, Congressman Doug Bernard dedicated the Guidestones with an open mind.
We must stress today the need for self-control, for self-restraint, and yes, self-government, all of which I interpret in this Georgia Guidestone.
The sense of permanence is there, and we do know this. The Georgia Guidestones are some of the largest granite monuments ever erected, and they can be seen for years to come on Georgia Highway 77, 7 miles north of Elberton. Matt Hunt, Action News, on the scene in northeast Georgia.
And whenever you might desire in the future to inspect the monument.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you.
I'm about to break some life or death news to the people that are gathered here. Now, I may look or even feel perfectly normal, but I'm actually carrying a potentially lethal disease that I have been spreading around this normally quiet, leafy little town. And the locals are gathered here to find out whether I've infected them. And I've got to say, they all look remarkably happy about it. That's probably because it's part of the biggest experiment of its kind. With the help of thousands of volunteers, we are about to simulate the outbreak of a fatal contagion throughout the UK. That might seem like a funny thing to want to do, but if I can succeed, this will save lives when, not if, a real pandemic hits. Our pandemic might be simulated, but global outbreaks of deadly flu are a very real threat.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear us loud and clear?
Good evening.
Evening.
My mic all right, Spook?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Your falsetto tones sound like Barry White.
Some people keep calling me Sabre on that chat. Who's that?
Do they? I don't know.
It's someone we know.
There's Sabo on that chat, not Sabre. Saba.
It says Saba.
Yeah, Saba's a guy on the chat.
No, there's a guy called Saba. Oh, right, they were saying hi, Saba. I thought they were talking to me.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
My nickname used to be Sabre, so I thought they were talking to me.
So you can hear us all loud and clear, I take it? Cool. Well, good evening to this...
Someone's talking about your head there, Fatty. Keep shining beautiful.
They're always talking about my bald dome.
Oh, no, it said so. I thought you said shining ball, shining head.
We wanted to do something quite quickly while it was still hot to trot. We've still got a few people coming in, I think, Chris, at the minute. But we wanted to do something about the Professor Hannah Fry hit piece the other night. On the 20th of July, the BaBaC put out a new documentary called UnSpeared, which is the word I'm going to use, which was a hit piece about 7 people who hadn't had their weapons that kill, or the Michelle Pfizers. Why these people would take part in this type of documentary is beyond me, really. Is it you, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, I watched. Did you watch it all?
I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't stomach it.
I watched more than half of it.
Right.
But yeah, it's also strange as to why bring that out now when apparently everyone's been arm-speared. Why bring that documentary out now? I could have understood it. I'm saying I could have understood it in their psychotic way. I could have understood it 6 months ago, but it just seems a bit pointless unless they're planning nonsense. Who knows?
Yeah, I think my connections, not like yours the other day. Mine's gone right down as well.
It sounds all right from me.
Yeah, some people are saying it's a bit dippy, but yeah, I agree. It's strange. It was fronted by Professor Hannah Fry, but it's not just about her. It's not just about Fry. It's much bigger than that. She's just another front, a media expert mouthpiece like Brian Cockend and Sir David Population Reduction at Attenborough. She's part of an interlocking spider's web that includes NGOs like Wellcome Trust and the Bill and Melvin Gates Foundation, universities like Cambridge and the University of London, and many other professors who have made a career pre-nonsense of, well, just pushing nonsense. All the while filling their pockets working for the pharmaceutical companies who have and they've all benefited from the rollout of the nonsense. This shows there was a plan, and all of this is a plan, and the BBC, as we know, are all part of this plan. And this presentation aims to show the people that are involved, or some of them. We're not going to get through all of them. And also that TV shows like this are just hit pieces to try and brainwash people into believing the narrative again. Just like taking it up another notch, aren't they?
Well, if you heard how she spoke to people in that thing, she spoke to them like children, didn't she? I don't know, I told you about, I don't know if you got that far in, did you see the jelly bean bit where she threw down some jelly beans and said, try them, and one of them was nasty, and said, that means that you've got the thing. And then she ended up throwing down like 50,000 or something, I think it was, and said,
right,
if you've got one dodgy one in there, that's your chance of having a bad reaction to the arms beer.
Right.
But she called it jelly bean roulette, which I thought was weird. But she just threw them all out on this table and basically talked to them like kids and basically said, you're an idiot if you think anything could happen to you from arms beers. And it kind of went on like that all the way through to the bit I saw where she was talking to them like they were thick children. But yeah, not easy watching though. Especially when you don't agree with anything they're saying. And I'm sure you're going to go into the experts that she got to give their opinion on it.
Yeah, there's a few of them in there, a few experts. I mean, I've just got to say my connectivity is really low, so if I sound crap, it's because the connectivity is low for some reason. But yeah, some of these experts are all intertwined and linked with all the normal people, like all the normal companies that we've come across over the last 2 or 3 years that are involved with planning the great nonsense, the Bill and Melinda Gates, etc. Anyway, what French witch pisses us up in tonight? You must have one on the shelf.
I have got one here, but I'm going to hold off for a bit because if we go on for 2 hours, I don't want to be sozzled.
Spandangled.
I've got an organic Sicilian Shiraz. It was on special offer in Waitrose.
Right.
And also, someone just mentioned my T-shirt. I'm not a NASA fan, by the way. If anyone can guess what this is from. My missus spotted me a few years ago. I just found it in my cupboard.
Right.
It's basically the T-shirt that the little boy wears in The Shining. And I don't know if you know that conspiracy theory around the fact that Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landings. So
I think most of these people probably do know that.
And the little boy's wearing it in the film. And it's just, but he's got a jumper on, but it's like a copy of that T-shirt. So I'm not.
How come you haven't got a vest on? Don't they make it in a vest?
Well, no. And also, my missus is aware, and washing doesn't seem to be getting done.
So you're getting drawers. You're getting down to the bottom of drawers now.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. I rang over there and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I don't know what's going on. My washing just didn't seem to be getting done, and the floor's getting dirty. Shit everywhere." I'm joking, by the way.
Right, let me bring this presentation up. And I've gone back to full coverage now, so full thing. Yours were doing that, fluctuates. Weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is weird. Especially when it says on your... Anyway.
Yeah, let me put this thing on here. So let me introduce Professor Hannah Fry. And that picture there was taken from the 2018 hit piece that they did, which we'll go through in a little bit, which was what that beginning video was. I just thought I'd put that in. That was the Hazelmere one, which I'll go into some detail on. But before we crack in, I'd like to thank a few people, Lorraine, Alea, for sending me some info and pictures and videos and stuff like that. And they sort of confirmed or give us new directions for research. Also, Richard Dior, because he, a couple of years ago, when all this kicked off, he was ahead of the game, and he showed this, as usual, he showed this video, the Hazelmere one, on his show, and the zombie one. That was the first place I saw that a couple of years ago.
I actually watched that Hazelmere one when it came out because my son lived in Hazelmere when he was a kid. So what year was that? 2000 what?
2018.
Yeah, and it's only a small town. So I watched it literally because I used to go to Hazelmere to pick him up all the time. So I was just curious as to what it was. And I remember watching it at the time.
Yeah. But there she's a TV sort of presenter and showpiece. She's on, what's it called?
Have I got news for you?
Have I got news for you? Yeah. So she
Funny that,
appears in all these chat shows and stuff.
Blowjob were on that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, a lot of these people have been, haven't they?
They use it as a piece to get them out there, I suppose.
Yeah. Also, there's I'll get my teeth in, a YouTube channel called Pig Hooey YouTube channel. If anybody's come across it, PIGHOOEY -Hess, Pig Hooey YouTube channel. And she seems to do some. She sounds like she's only from over Hill, and she seems to do some really good hit pieces on. There's a 40-minute video there about that actual documentary. She goes at it from a slightly different angle, which hopefully we will do as well. And also, we've got to thank Aid from Air Light because he did a really good one the other day, didn't he?
Yeah. Talking about the fact that there was two. It was literally proving there was two actors in the whole show.
Which we'll go into a bit more detail, but and there's a professor as well, Norman Fenton, who's a bit like Mark Nestor, who's actually a mathematician at Queen Mary University of London. He's really come out over the last few months with all the stats saying it's basically nonsense.
Right.
So he's an interesting one. Norman Fenton .com. So if you want to look at them, he's got a YouTube channel as well. I don't know how long that will be up there. And most of all these experts have been credited with predicting 91 Divok. So I saw one show where she was on that clickbait, BBC Click.
Yeah, is it like a technology show?
Like a tech show.
I've seen it,
And the guy at OSIT, grey-haired guy, was saying to her, you're like Bill Gates. You predicted this happening in 2018.
So what? Did she invent that entire TV production then? And
yeah, she did. She sort of commissioned it all, Chris. She got a cash out and paid for it all. All the 3,000 people that were queuing up outside that what is it, vetting centre. She knocked on every door, told them all to come, and they all believed her.
So someone just put a net worth 42 million.
I don't know if that's true.
No, I don't know.
But most of it, you watched, like you said, you watched a bit of that documentary, didn't you?
Yeah.
I could not go. I don't know about anybody in the chat, but I couldn't watch the thing. I turned it on, and it just, I don't know. I wanted to smash the whole house up by watching it. It was so annoying from the start, right from the beginning. It were annoying.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, it's not like you're watching something that's delivering you loads of facts, is it? You've got to watch all the blooming pan shots and and all the like soft focus stuff and it's just creepy and shite.
Yeah, there she is. I think she was a reboot of Tomorrow's World with Brian Cox.
Well, that'd have been good. Did they actually do that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they did some sort of 50th anniversary or it was some ridiculous thing like that.
Right. Might as well put them together, might you?
Yeah. Well, you couldn't possibly watch that, could you? Tomorrow's World.
Could you watch them two together? Jesus.
Yeah. But it was bad enough to start with.
I used to like Tomorrow's World.
Yeah. So we might as well start with these people, and I didn't go into each and every one of them. My thoughts on these people are that.
Well, I can tell you what the characters were, because
go on.
Yeah, the lady on the left, the black lady, she was pregnant. She was worried about. It were all. I'm sure even if it was all true and real, I suppose they'd do this, wouldn't they? Choose a crossbred, but that black lady was pregnant. She was worried about the reactions on a child. The next lad there, he's one that I think Hugo pointed out as being Outer Light guy pointed out as being an actor.
Yeah, Ethan,
and he just said he didn't believe in everything, so his were a bit more. Then that lady there, I think I'm pointing at the screen, aren't I? That's pointless. The next lady in the dark outfit, she was worried about fertility. I think that was right.
Right.
that next guy there, I think he's called Mark.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what was wrong with him. He was a care worker, and he said he had a right to choose.
Right.
That lad with the glasses on, apparently he was an actor as well, according to Outer Light guy.
He's definitely an actor.
Yeah.
I put a video on our YouTube channel yesterday.
It's funny.
I put an advert on Channel 4 where a guy was pretending to be Matthew Mahogany and giving him a massage.
Right. Was that him then?
That was him, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's on his website.
Right, all right.
I
Do you know what's funny?
Recorded it from his website.
What's funny is when I watched it, there was a bit and it just fleetingly went into my mind. I thought, he looked like he was acting then. He just seemed really, really, I mean, a lot of it seemed pretty staged. And then that lady, the Asian lady, she's apparently a bit of a activist and she goes on marches and whatever.
Right,
so
yeah.
she's that one. And then that other lady, she's quite outspoken. She seemed pretty real to me, whether she is or not. But they just, she was a total conspiracy theorist, and they just made her out to be a nutter with very clever editing as well. Some of the other ones didn't seem that bothered. And you think, if they've gone 2 years at this point, why would they change their mind now just because that silly knobhead doing this stupid show and talking to her like a child? It's the last thing you do. But I noticed with that lady on the end, in the pink, every time she said something, they'd edit it so she sounded shrill and then cut away straight away so she didn't get to finish a sentence. Whether she's an actor, I ain't got no idea.
Well, apparently they filmed it for six days.
Right.
And they condensed all that editing down from 6 days filming into an hour.
45 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah. And you're right, all of it was about convincing them to get speared. It weren't the bit I saw was that Anna Fry said at the beginning, "I'm all for free choice."
Yeah,
that's what she said. And this is the BBC's way of giving you free choice, which is basically putting 7 people in stocks and having experts make them look like twats.
Yeah. And it reminds you of, I always remember, I was saying to you earlier, do you remember that BBC did a conspiracy show? And it reminds me of that. And I couldn't watch all them. I remember watching them, but what they did at the beginning, they dealt you out all the facts. And then, so they gave you like, most of the show facts, for instance, talking about, say, JFK, whatever, assassination. Yeah. So they gave you all the facts and all the proper conspiracy facts. And then at the end, they just debunked them all in about 20 minutes. So the end conclusion is blah, blah, blah. And it went on for an hour.
You're all nutters.
Good production, but you're all nutters. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember doing that on a 9/11 one, didn't they?
Yeah, they did everything. And they did who is it did one? Joe Rogan did one very similar in America. I remember seeing that. That put me off him straight away because I don't know, it went into all the detail and just debunked it all at the end. And you knew what was going to happen on each one. I watched the beginning and end of each one just to check, but yeah, every single one of them. As you do.
as you do. Well, the commissioning editor and science editor, Tom Coveney, from the BBC, if you remember when she came on, this mimics what she said. It says, with divock infections on the rise again, there couldn't be a more important time to examine the reasons why so many adults are still not getting the arm spear. It's an explosive debate that goes to the heart of modern life and growing mistrust in the establishment. That's what he said.
They throw a lot of statistics at it as well. There were a lot of statistics in it, weren't there?
Well, the BBC and Fry lied about that there were 4 million unbritaned in the UK.
27. Oh, go on, sorry.
It's more like there's 24% of the UK's adult population unjabbed.
Is that what it is?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, they said in that there's 27% of adults unlikely to want more jibby jabs.
Right, and that's a different conversation, isn't it?
But it's not. That's not high enough, is it? I wouldn't have thought. If they're saying it's 24, there's more than 3% not wanting any more. Surely, even from people.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, a lot of people are. But again, I don't want another one. Right, you can't go on holiday again. All right, I'll have one. You know, what does it actually mean that? Yeah. Because most of these people around here, they'll have one every year if they have to go on holiday. Because as soon as they lay that one down, again. But yeah, anyway. So the fact is that the BBC didn't mention certain facts. If you think about it, right, when they commission a show like this and they pick 7 people, they don't just pick 7 people.
No.
There are people would either audition or send who they are in or whatever. There might have been 100, even more, to pick from these 7. So like you said at the beginning, they strategically picked 7 people that fit different criteria within. So that even though these people might be real anti jibber jabbers, they've been picked for a specific reason, like a top trump pack.
They're all very different characters. They look different,
all
act
very
different, talk different.
And the researchers know what to look for, don't they? When for argument's sake, 2 of these people are actors, 100%. I've done my own research on these while Ede from Air Light were doing it, yeah. Right. And so they're definitely actors. There's no doubt about that. This young lad here was introduced on the show as a salesman, and yet I flicked through some pictures, and yet he has. Here he is, Ethan Dombravand. He definitely is an actor. He's a producer, and he's appeared on BBC, Channel 4, Comedy Central.
Right.
And not only that, as Ed said, this Anna Fry worked on
One Show.
The One Show, and so did he.
At the same time as well.
At the same time.
The same period of time.
Yeah, I mean, these are screenshots from Ed's stuff, so I'm bigging Ed up there because he does some fantastic research himself. And so he is definitely an actor. But I'm not saying that these people are stooges or crisis actors. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're not either. Yeah, the alarm bells are ringing in my head because they could be put on there. Run a scenario. Let's just say they're put on there, and they know that lunatics like me or you or people in the chat and Ed from Outer Light and other people, Hugo and people like that. Hugo did a good one as well on it. They know that we're going to research these people and say, they're actors. All of a sudden, then that means that everything were a con, and it's another disassociation or a diversion tactic, isn't it?
Well, I suppose, yeah, they get lunatics like us bringing it up to people, and it's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's interested in that.
And this is the other guy, Luca Barbarossa.
He's the guy with glasses on, isn't he? Quite a distinctive looking fella as well.
Yeah. He's the guy, he's definitely an actor, and he was introduced as a conspiracy theorist that really brought him out to look like a complete nutter.
Yeah, and he said he was he'd had all his YouTube channels banned and all this lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wonder if you can find any of his stuff
on YouTube. Well, apparently somebody in the comments on the video that I put on did some searching on his Twitter or something like that account, and he has been questioning it apparently for quite a long time.
Right.
So I mean, but as we know, they can be set up as well. But I mean, he's definitely worked for Channel 4 and he's definitely worked in advertising, and he's
I mean, if you're only choosing 7 folk, none of them should be actors or being on the TV at all, should they?
Well, even if they are, you should be told they are.
Yeah.
Because these guys clearly aren't just a salesman, are they?
No. No.
I mean, this is his CV, and he seems to have got a lot of work just last year on his CV. A lot of advertising work just last year. But a couple of them ladies in the earliest picture, the lady with pink vest on and stuff, they've been interviewed on GB News and what have you, and they were basically saying they were set up because a lot of they were supplying evidence. And I mean, if you imagine, right, if anybody in this chat did actually go on that show, you would take with you reams of evidence, wouldn't you? If you knew you were up against professors and stuff like that, you would take with you. So they probably took a lot of evidence with them. Bear in mind, staying there for 6 days, they've got a suitcase, they're taking all the evidence with them if they wanted to. And they were showing them this evidence. And that wasn't shown on the programme. Yeah.
Whoever's doing the edit's in charge of the outcome of that show.
Yes. It's a bit like those pictures where people have got one hand over their eye and stuff like that. That person might be told to do that. That doesn't mean to say they're all satanic worshippers, does it?
No.
I'm not saying they're not, by the way, either, because we don't know. That's
Could be all photographers.
It could be photographers or the person that commissioned whatever's going on. That all these people need to look like in that way on that picture. I mean, there's a bit of a coincidence when all these people seem to have one hand over their eye or the hair over their eye, going back to Beatles pictures and, to today. So we're back to this contagion experiment that was done in 2018, which I found pretty... I did watch a little bit of this, but I want to go into a little bit of detail on the Hazelmere. And she, like I say, has been given credit for forecasting what was going to happen. Now, she's a mathematician, by the way. She says she can work love out by mathematics and all this type of stuff. So everything can be resolved with maths and numbers. And I'll play a video in a bit of that, because she talks about zero quite a bit, which is interesting.
Patient
anyway,
zero.
Yeah. Well, she in this program, she is patient zero in this one. Yeah. And one of the things she was saying is, how many will it kill? What can we do about it? And in this documentary, as she said, that smartphones are the perfect tool for pandemonic research. Forget the phone bit. It's the combination of built-in GPS tracker and specially designed apps to make them a data gatherer's dream.
She actually says as well that, again, like they always do, it's not if this will happen, it's when it'll happen. So,
right.
In 2018.
You hear that a lot, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. I think old Gil Bates said the same thing.
Yeah, Kill Bill, yeah. Well, the documentary was filmed in a place called Hazelmere, and I think you said you watched it because...
I was saying I watched it because, Seb grew up there, well, when he was really young. So I watched it out of interest because it's a tiny village, and I thought, I wonder if I recognise any of it.
Yeah.
And then I think I must have watched Richard Dior's thing on it as well.
Yeah, well, Richard Dior actually said that the coincidence was that the first death of 91 Divock was actually in Hazelmere. That's where he put together straight away. So she'd done this in Hazelmere, and then there was this first death in Hazelmere. So what makes Hazelmere so strategically important? That's what I wanted to say. So we started looking around, me and Lorraine, and this was the flag, old flag of Surrey. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. This is what we found. This was an old flag of Surrey, and it got changed on 11th of September 2014.
Right.
To this. So they changed it basically to Ukraine colours, on the September 11th, 2014.
Right, it's like a Masonic checkerboard Ukraine colour style flag.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that the flag? Is that it? There's nothing else.
I think that's the flag, yeah. Right. How spooky is this as well? Her husband, which we tried doing quite a lot of genealogy on her background, because I'm convinced that she's related to the Fry's chocolate family. But anyway, I might be wrong there. But
I think she's related to Jamie Oliver. She looks like Jamie Oliver.
Yeah, Jamie Oliver with a red wig. Yeah, but her husband, or her real name, her husband's called Philip Edward Lythell, Lythell, and he was born in Merton, Surrey. Yeah, so Surrey is where this was filmed, in Hazelmere. Now, it was filmed in a place called Lythe Hill, which is spelled Lythehill. So he's called Lythell, and it was filmed in Lythe Hill.
Right.
So her last name is Lythell.
Lythell.
Yeah. Well, Lythell, however we want to pronounce it. That's her name. And Lythe Hill in Hazelmere is sat on a tri-point. And a tri-point is between where boundaries meet from three different places, like say 3 countries or 3 counties or 3 towns, and they were quite strategic, if you like. A tri-point, tri-junction, triple point, tri-border, is a geographical point at which boundaries of three counties or subnational entities meet. There are approximately 176 international tri-points, and nearly half are situated by rivers, lakes, or seas. And they are always indicated by markers, pillars, and occasionally larger monuments. A tri-point is basically, it's a crossroads, isn't it?
Mm.
Which brings that Faustian bargain back in again, doesn't it?
There's only 170 internationally, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not many, is it?
No.
Really?
So they're quite unique.
Yeah.
Well, they're not unique, but
rare.
There's not many about.
Yeah.
So I found that quite interesting. Another one is that the entirety of the Hazelmere parish is in the parliamentary constituency of South West Surrey and has been represented by Conservative Jeremy Hunt. Yeah, I did say Hunt. And so the hunt for Hazelmere Patient Zero was within the constituency of Jeremy Hunt. And Hunt served as Secretary of State for Health from September 2012 until 2018. So he was also the Health Secretary for the London Olympics. He was the minister responsible for he was Culture Secretary, and he was responsible for the 2012 London Olympics as well, where they did this.
The infamous opening gala.
Yeah. And all the dates when it were released match up to 33 and 66 as well. Were released on 22nd of March 2018.
I mean, you just think of I don't know. How do you tell someone who didn't think that isn't suspicious? You know, that the fact they did that show with phones, the track and trace thing. I mean,
anybody who can't join them dots, I mean, you've got to be.
You've got to be in some serious denial, haven't you? Serious denial.
You have, because there's no way that they could predict down to you're going to use a phone app and a tracker and all this.
Yeah.
You know, we could say, oh, there's going to be this outbreak in 10 years' time or at some point in history, which is what they were saying. They didn't say it's going to happen in 2020. They were saying it was going to happen in the future. Anybody could say that, really, couldn't they? But by saying then that they're going to use technology exactly how they tried to use it, that's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, the town's most famous resident was Francis Galton. I've done quite a lot of research on this guy because he's part of that research I'm doing on the Huxleys. And Galton is intertwined and married into the Huxleys, and he's also Charles Darwin's cousin. And he was a polymath, statistician, sociologist, psychologist, anthropologist, tropical explorer, geographer, inventor, meteorologist, proto-geneticist, and a proponent of social Darwinism, eugenics, and scientific racism.
Right. Nice.
He was knighted in 1919.
Scientific racism. Sounds good.
His book, The Hereditary Genius, in 1869, was the first social scientific attempt to study genius and greatness through genetics.
Right. Yeah. Get rid of that chaff.
Yeah. She actually mentions Galton in a 2014 video lecture she did called I Predict a Riot, where they used mathematics, which I'll come on to in a bit, to predict human flow and behaviours and stuff like this. And however, while bullying up Galton, she forgot to mention that Galton was a big proponent of eugenics. In fact, he actually came up with the term eugenics, did Galton. He invented the term.
Right. Was she bigging him up then?
Oh, yeah. Because he was a mathematician. The Galton Institute is alive today and was well known from 1907 to 1989. It was known as the Eugenics Society or the British Eugenics Society.
Right, so she's bigging up a eugenist and a guy who wrote a book about scientific racism. I bet it wasn't on the race side either.
No, it were only. I know which side it were on. I've got old docs showing attendees to these meetings, like Churchill in early 1920 and stuff like that. And the Huxleys were also a big part of that movement as well, Chris. In fact, Sir Julian Huxley was a prominent member of the British Eugenics Society, And he was vice president from 1937 to 44 and president from 59 to 62.
Right.
And he got knighted as well. Just saying. In fact, he thought eugenics was important for removing undesirable variants from the human gene pool.
Right.
That's Aldous Huxley's brother.
And then you have to remember Hitler took all that information and look where he went.
Well, I think other people more scary than Hitler took that information as well, didn't they?
He got the idea from he got the idea from them, though, didn't he?
Mm. Well, apparently Galton was one of, I won't say his hero, but Hitler utilised a lot, or the Nazis used the book that Galton wrote as part of their culture, whatever you want to call it. You know, what I would say is, you've got to ask yourself, was that paying homage to all the eugenicists in Hazelmere? Is that what?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's why that triad thing might mean more to them.
Yeah. A tri-point. I mean, because they're rare, these tri-points. That's what you'd say. You call them rare, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Maybe they have some meaning to these psychopaths. Who knows?
Well, they definitely have a meaning.
They must have some meaning, yeah. What does it mean? We'll probably never know, will we?
No. I wanted to play quite a few videos here of these things, but they all mention, you know, arm spears and jib jabs, and I just didn't want to risk it, to be honest with you. Hazelmere got its name from hazel trees which surround a lake. The name was recorded in a document in 1221, and the hazel trees have a reputation as a magical tree. And a hazel rod is supposed to protect against evil spirits.
Right.
So anyway, it's a bit of background on Hazelmere. Some pictures here as well. So I know these have been widely, we're not the first ones to show these. Hugo showed them and a few other people. But again, the peacock symbolism is obviously an occult symbolism. It's not just a one-eyed thing. I think it came from, is it Helena Blavatsky? She was a proponent of the peacock angel,
right,
in her writings.
Right.
I don't understand why a mathematician would need to do that. I don't understand why.
Like we said before, though, has she? I mean, does she know what she's doing, or has she got more clout?
We're hypothesising here, aren't we? But
yeah, I'm hypothesising. But has she got more clout than a politician?
I don't know.
I'd say they have more influence on people.
Yeah. Certainly, a strange mix when you think about them being. She's a mathematician, and yet she's telling when the next hit from a disease is coming. And she's doing Masonic symbolism.
And numerous weird photo ops for some reason.
Yeah.
She's clearly been put in the public eye for some reason, hasn't she?
She's been primed.
Been primed, like, yeah.
I think we were talking, I mean, imagine the amount of training to be a presenter. All these presenters sound like what you're saying, Jamie Oliver, but they all sound like the same person, don't they? You know, Tony Blair and Rishi Sunak and all they've all been trained exactly the same way. They all talk and sound the same, don't they? There's no individualism. They all present. And a presenter presents. They don't, like, what we're doing now is...
They don't think about it. They just present it, don't they?
We're having a conversation. Yeah, we've got some bullet points, but we're having a conversation around it. They can't do that because it's got to be edited and it's got to make sure that it ticks the right box.
Well, look at the recent nonsense with choosing the new Tory, whatever knobhead, and it started with 7 or whatever, and you can just see the whole stage of it, can't you? And it's whittled down to 2, and there's loads of pictures of Sue and that woman, and who gives a shit, and then they just choose. I mean, who in the right mind, who you know, right, would choose any of those 2 bell ends?
Well, yeah. Well, we covered Rishi, and we covered Liz Not Trust as well.
Do you look at them and think, I want them to be in charge of the country with all the charisma?
Well, no, you wouldn't. I mean, I haven't taken any notice because I can't listen to either of them. But
no.
Did you see that woman pass out the other day? She was called, is it Kate? She was called Kate McCann as well. Somebody sent me that, and I thought, why is Madeline's mum doing? But anyway, it was something totally different.
Was it someone else called with the same
She
name?
keeled over, and that Liz Truss was talking, and you should have seen the expression on her face. Yeah.
Why did you keel over?
Well, again, why is people keeling over? Why are they just keeling over? But yeah, it's so this patient zero. It's weird because the CDC have been pushing this zombie pandemic for about 8 or 9 years. And this was on that Pigger Who's. So I've taken information from Pigger Who's thing. Everyone should watch that. It's really good. It's a really good video that she's put on there. And it was in the there was after the 2018 one. She did another one in 2019, and it was about the zombies. So I'll come to that in a sec. But she played the part of patient zero and adopts the role of patient zero. And if you think about, sorry, go on. What are you saying?
No, again. I'm saying again in this zombie one.
Yeah. Well, no. This was the one after. Sorry, I've jumped the gun a little bit. I'll put that back on. So she plays the role of patient zero, and it's titled that 2018 documentary, the biggest science experiment of its kind, powered by citizens. I wonder how many of those people that were queuing up realised they were part of the biggest experiment of its kind.
Well, I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been there. It's a small, tiny village, you know. So I suppose if they put posters up in that, that's probably why they did it. Or for other reasons. But if you put posters up, you know, that little village, you'd probably get quite excited about. Oh, we're doing a TV show experiment. You know, unless you're like us nutters, you probably wouldn't think about it, would you? You probably just put it on TV.
Well, the whole psyche of that first 2018 show was that she was walking around Hazelmere, and wherever she walked, she passed it on
through the
as
phone,
patient zero.
But through the phone application. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So people who had the app, then ended up being sort of going down like they did in the real nonsense.
Yeah.
And
so they could make that nice black map with red dots on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the contagion spread around, and the app was downloaded by volunteers, and it was sort of like fast forward to February 2020, and they're just doing the same thing.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have known. Well, unless someone was in the knowing, they wouldn't have known this. But anyway, I'm going to play a video because patient zero, she does go on about it quite a lot, and it's mentioned quite a lot in our world. And so we try and upload this video that I've got. I'll play a bit of it. Look at the numbers on this beginning of the video.
Is it possible to get something from nothing? This is the story of a very important number, but a number that wasn't always a number. In fact, it was much less than a number until relatively recently. This is the story of zero, and it's a story that takes a tortuous and meandering route through 1,500 years of human history. Today, we enjoy zero in all its glory, where it takes on two roles. The first is as a placeholder within our positional number system. Zero notes an absence of a value and allows us to create huge numbers without the need to create new digits. So we know 30 is larger than 3 and 300 is larger than 30 and 3. The second use of zero is as a number in its own right, the middleman, if you like, between positive and negative 1, and enjoying nearly all the same benefits as other numbers. We can subtract, add, multiply by zero, but dividing by zero just doesn't work.
So, do you see the numerology at the beginning, Chris?
I didn't actually. What did it say? Sorry, I was looking at the heads and I was looking at the 7 heads and hands.
All them numbers that popped up were all 3s.
Right.
Everything were 3s. 33s, and it was about 0. So anyway, but if you think about everything, patient zero, net zero, climate, which is global climate warming change nonsense, ground zero, twin towers, zero tolerance,
World War Z.
Yeah, well, I put that in here, and then you've got World War Z,
Zombie
which
apocalypse.
the zombie apocalypse is World War Z, which I mean, then we linked it to what's it called again?
Zarkovsky's.
Zelensky.
Yeah,
so World War Z, and then you've got the tanks, the Russian tanks with the Zs on them.
Z on them. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
who knows?
The never-ending circle, isn't it? It's eternity. Which she, in that video there, she sort of brushed that off.
1 hour in, I'm having a glass of wine.
1 hour in, you're having a glass of wine. With the words patient zero, you have a distinctly catchy phrase. This was the reason American journalist, he used it, with the AIDS epidemic.
Mm.
That was when it was first used, I think.
Right. Yeah, the patient zero, I think.
Yeah. I think, it were Randy Schultz, American journalist, who adopted it.
Yeah. And it was used in that film Contagion quite a lot. And I think that Outbreak one and Planet of the Apes, it's been used ever since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
They make this big rush and hurry to find patient zero.
Yeah, my connection's dropped right down again, so if my sound's crap, then I apologise. One of the colleagues on there was a guy called... put him back on. This guy here is a professor of infectious disease and epidemiology. So he was on that 2018 show, and he was also in the last one, I believe, as well. But he's certainly done a lot of research with her. And that's that yellow thing there, The Rules of Contagion, is a book that he wrote.
Yeah, of course he did.
So his bio states that his research focuses on the dynamics of infectious diseases. And he works at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So that's from that website there. I'm interested in how social behaviour and immunity shape disease transmission, and how knowledge of such processes can improve preparedness and response. This work is funded by Wellcome Trust, Royal Society, Sir Henry Dale Fellowship, and others. I'm also a co-editor of the Centre for Epidemic Preparedness and Response. I have worked on several projects linking citizen science with large-scale data collection. That's all. Why is it all these people look the same, or talk? They're all talking the same language, like they're being script trained as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm interested in how social behaviour and immunity shape disease transmission, and large-scale data. Who's given him permission to do data collection on his own?
And where's this stuff? Where's it been for well, in my lifetime? Where's all this stuff been?
Yeah.
Other than a couple of avian flus.
A lot of his research is funded by the Gates Foundation as well as the Wellcome Trust. I've read through a few of his research papers. He released this book here, The Rules of Contagion, Why Things Spread and Why They Stop, which was released on the 19th of March 2020. Talk about timing.
Yeah, I mean, and this stuff went under the radar, didn't it? No one's...
Yeah, nobody said that. So we've got people here writing books, being part of documentaries that are forecasting these things to happen. And they're sort of working in the same area and the same field as Nobed Ferguson.
I mean, I don't want to use an old, probably overused word, but it is predictive programming, isn't it? It's been launched at us for 2 or 3 years, going up to that. And like we did when we did that one about Spanish flu. That came out. I mean, we came up with a theory, didn't we, Dom? I don't know if anyone heard us talk about this. But basically, the Diego flu was invented to help carry the 20 nonsense.
Yeah.
I looked, and there was no books written about it really prior to 2000. Well, I can't remember what year it was. 2010, Fire.
Yeah.
But if you look on
2009,
Amazon,
I think it was. Yeah.
It was 2009. Yes, 11 years. Yeah.
Yeah. We managed to find one book from the 1930s that was written about.
They didn't call it that, though, did they?
No, they called it something else. But also, I sort of said, I mean, in in November, we all have, well, people, I don't, but most people go out and buy poppies. Now, that's sort of a celebration. I mean, we call it a death cult celebration, but it's a celebration of the ending of World War One. But yet, more people were meant to die in the hoax than the First World War. And yet there is no holiday, no notification, no monuments.
No poetry.
No poetry, no songs, no paintings, nothing.
All the art, the loads of art around it, isn't there?
Yeah. And so all these people that are writing books now, they're writing probably in 20 years' time to say, yeah.
I mean, and they said between 50 to 100 million died. I mean, that's a pretty...
That's a pretty big gap in it. I mean, if you're a statistician, a mathematician, you wouldn't say that were an accurate quote, would you?
Of anything. No. But yeah, everyone started talking about it when the nonsense started, because they were retracting back and seeing this new history that had been created by Winston from 1984. So we could all go, but when the one happened in whatever, this is what happened. There was wave after wave, because it happened then as well. It's going to happen now.
Well, that's another word that they've used, isn't it? Wave.
Yeah. Like you said as well, Dom, when they came back from the First World War, they were all out in the streets. Thousands and thousands of them.
We've got pictures of them. I've got pictures of them. We're going to use them. Pictures of them all celebrating the ending of World War One, hugging each other, kissing each other in the middle of London and Paris and New York, and there was ticker tape coming down. They're all having there were millions of people in New York, but nobody was scared.
Massive contagion. Anyone could die in a minute. And also, they said they were all wearing face nappers.
And they weren't. They were all kissing each other.
Well, those pictures look very fraudulent that we saw.
Well, what gets me about those pictures is the pictures look old and the face nappies look brand new.
Yeah, it's gleaming white.
Yeah, gleaming white, aquafresh white.
I even saw one, Dom, I think at the time, going back a year or so, where a guy was throwing a guy off a bus because he didn't have one on.
Right.
I mean, why have we never heard of this before?
Why is it never... It's not just that, right? The most important question about the Spanish nonsense is, when you ask somebody, did they teach it you at school?
No.
No, they didn't. And yet, if it killed 100 million people, that's 100 million. That's a lot of people. You would have been taught about that at school.
I remember actually when we were on about it, because we were coming up with this thought process. And I was working in a place, and there was an older lady who worked there, and she said, we're going on about school. And she said, really into my history. And we were asking people at that point, and I said, did you do anything about the Spanish nonsense? And she went, no, I didn't actually. You just think, seed planted.
Seed planted, because that is nonsense. Because that doesn't mean to say something wasn't happening. But
well, I think
it's strange they're calling it a wave.
It pointed more to a UnSpeared, I think.
Yeah, well, UnSpeared,
soldiers were getting
technology.
So I think you said that there were young people getting it, guys, healthy people in the 20s, wasn't it?
Yes, it were all people coming back from the war. But also, people... I've got diaries of World War One guys that you've read. They've joined up, they've had their arm spears, and then 2 days later... in the next part of the diary, or 3 days later, they're saying they're all isolated in a hut because there's been a breakout of measles or something.
Right. No connection there.
And so no connection there. And it's not just in one book; it's in several books as well. And you know what? In all these books, right, the people that are writing them never mention the Spanish nonsense ever. They just can't wait to get home. The only time the Spanish nonsense is mentioned is by the editor at the end, because obviously these people have died, so their diaries have been passed down to generations and given to an editor who finds them interesting to write a book. So the family obviously want to get a bit of a kickback. So the editor then writes, the end of the war, this happened, and all that type of stuff. So that's the only time they have seen them mentioned. It's not by the person that's written it; it's by the editor.
Like a book that came out in 2009, and it's got the notes at the end mentioning it.
Yes,
kind of thing.
Yeah. And a lot of these books came out in the mid to late 2000s as well, which is a bit ironic. But
I went through the whole lot and didn't find one older than, I think, like you said, 2009.
Yeah.
And if there was a couple, they didn't call it the Spanish nonsense.
Yeah.
And also, if you remember, and I remember this happening, do you remember when if you read now on Wikipedia about the avian, which one was it? Was it the swine one? Swine nonsense.
Yeah.
One that happened in about 2008, 2009.
That were that bird nonsense or swine nonsense?
I can't remember. It was one of them.
This is another thing though, Chris. Look at the vegan movement. Look at what they've done, right? They're putting people off eating animal food, animals for food, and now they're saying implanted in his mind now is that we can get disease from animals, bats, cats, whatever. And if you remember the TB arm spear, that horrible thing that they used to basically drill into your arm, that were a proper 9-dart finish. But that thing was because of milk, TB milk.
Was it?
Tuberculosis in milk.
Right.
So that was from cows. So what they were saying was there was an outbreak and you were getting it from cows drinking milk. So all this has been implanted into his mind.
And if you read Wikipedia about the 2008, whether it was swine or bird, I can't remember which. I think it was swine. I think you're right. But if you read it, it's like a horror film. You know, you think people running down the streets with their arms in air. Yeah,
bacon nonsense.
I mean, because I remember we were laughing because I was working in London at the time, and one of your mates had actually got himself sealed in his house.
Crab claws. He's only here tonight. Crab claws, yeah. Jack.
How was it him?
Yeah.
Didn't want the posting medicine through his letterbox?
What it was, the house he was staying at, the guy's bird was an air hostess.
Right.
Yeah. So again, it's the same the same script.
But also now that's on Wikipedia. Now it's in history books. So it's done.
I think they posted him some antibiotics or something through.
Yeah, no, because I remember you telling me I was at work when you told me. I remember. I was laughing my tits off. Sorry, Club Close.
Yeah, we've gone off on one. Yeah. We've gone off on one there a bit, but I'm glad we did actually because it fit in nicely. Yeah. This next lady, we covered her, Chris, in Wendy Barclay, Professor Wendy Barclay. Right. She also appeared in that 2018 one. These are the people who are interviewing in these. She works for the Wellcome Trust and the Gates Foundation and GSK and Weapons That Kill and Bayer as well. Pay for her research. And she led an ideas lab in 2019 at the World Economic Forum that focused on developing an arm spear revolution. That's their words.
Right. I mean, that's the idea, isn't it? Preventable.
Preventing something that you wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
So
look where we are now. I mean, it's all in the news about doctors and NHS or whatever, and so you can't go to the doctors or the NHS anymore because the two overrun. So we can prevent every illness with an arm spear. There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what she's talking about. That's what she's talking about, isn't it?
She also tested, if you remember, Chris, can you remember it was the common cold lab or something like that it was.
Right.
She was the woman testing with at Porton Down on volunteers.
Right.
So, but these weren't just normal common cold; they were growth modified stuff. She was also part of some genetic cloning as well. You can't make this stuff up, can you?
This is what you're going to say next. She actually built Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah. And she's also appeared on the documentary about the Spanish nonsense, the nonsense that killed 50 million in 2018, which was released in 2018 as well.
All right. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I might have watched that.
These are the people.
Was she only going with 50 million then? She didn't want to go for 100 million.
and in that film, they were using track and trace apps too. Coincidence, total coincidence. Who would have thought it? You know, I mean, these people are that clever. They write all this stuff and all, Chris. Obviously, you know, like you said, she's the one that funded all the filming and stuff like that. They're just placed there, aren't they?
Geniuses.
Yeah, placed there. Given CBE, she's got CBE. You know, no doubt she'll have a day mud at some point. This guy was also in it, and he was the co-host. He was co-presenter on that 2018 one. Dr. Javid Abdel Monahem. And he's a British-born physician and television presenter.
Right. So right. Which came
Mechanic.
first? Which came first?
Well, it used to be like TV presenter and waiter, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're really a waiter then? Yeah. Now it's physician and TV presenter. Oh, so you're really a TV presenter. He's best known for his work with Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders, which is another NGO. So he documented experiences during the West Africa epidemic for a BAFTA, Emmy, and a Grayson Award. A short-lived panorama film, Ebola Frontline in Sierra Leone.
Well, you got a BAFTA for it.
You got a BAFTA for it. Yeah.
For that Ebola bollocks.
Yeah. And
bloody hell.
I just want to show you. Let me show you this picture of him here. Hang on a minute. Let me turn this bit on and turn this one. Can you see that guy there at top with Javid on top of his name next to her? She's at top with that partridge feather, and there's a guy dressed in hazmat suit.
Yeah, is that him?
He's got Javid. That's him in Sierra Leone.
Because that was the standard Ebola outfit at the time, wasn't it? I remember.
Yeah.
White hat thing and glasses and yellow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that wasn't brought in over here, because I mean, that's how you really save yourself. That.
Well, he always made me wonder with all these. With all leading up to now, you know, these little pockets of fear, and like we said, it's all in the news now, isn't it? The swine nonsense, all in the news, all in Wikipedia. You can research it, and it was a nightmare at the time, even though we know it wasn't, because we were there.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, as usual. It was just a load of shite. Same as Ebola, shite.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. A lot of innocent people did get harmed because they were poisoning them in some nature.
It's also funny that they were testing it in Africa. Were it a trial run, you know, to see reactions and to gather data on the 2020 nonsense.
All of it. I mean, you've just heard that guy there. His hobby, what he loves doing, is collecting data on people. Isn't that what he said? That guy. Yeah. I focus on. That's it. I worked on several projects linking citizen science. That means we're all involved, Chris, even though we didn't know. With large-scale data collection.
I didn't really think this through. It's a bit dark here. I've got a lamp here.
It's all right in there. Don't worry. Right. Yeah. He is active with the NHS and that charity, the MSF. And he also fronted a number of science and well-being programmes for BBC, Channel 4, HBO, Al Jazeera Network. And he's also a trustee. He was appointed a trustee of the Royal Colleges of Emergency Medicine. And that's what these people seem to get given, these type of roles.
Get little accolades given to him.
Yeah. He was a board of trustees for that Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, which is an international NGO, and he was the youngest serving president and chairman of the board. So how much does that MSF, the Doctors Without Borders, it's got a budget of 1.63 billion.
What does it mean, Doctors Without Borders? What are they on about?
Well, it basically means they can go. They go into countries. It's just a name, isn't it? It's a French stroke Swiss company.
To bother other people, basically.
The group was active in 70 countries, and it's got over 35,000 personnel. Most of the local doctors, nurses, and other medical professions, logistical experts, water and sanitation engineers, etc., etc., etc.
Right. So they're basically going over countries and just telling them what to do.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I can't believe he won a BAFTA for an Ebola.
Well, I don't think they won it, but they got put forward for a panorama.
Right.
I don't know whether they won it or not, but it was put forward.
Something you've never seen or heard of.
Well, look at his outfit though. Should get a BAFTA for that. You got Javid written in pen on his head.
Look at him throwing the phones in your face as well.
I know. The whole thing is about that, isn't it?
Mm.
So we'll come to the Christmas lectures. I hope you're enjoying this, guys. The Christmas lectures. This is the zombie one. This is what we were talking about earlier. And this lady here was in the Christmas lectures, and I'm going to play a bit of that video because I think it's important that we see that. Is this one?
But okay, if you can accept that being right isn't always possible, if you can really understand these numbers, then you can still use them to your advantage. Because sometimes luck really is a matter of life and death, or in this case, zombies. So to explain this properly, I would like you to join me in giving a warm welcome to an epidemiologist from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, Ros Ego. Okay, Ros, you study the mathematics of disease, right? How much of it is luck and chance?
Well, there's a lot of chance that's involved in the transmission of disease. So if there's an epidemic happening at the moment, the chance of you getting it depends on how many other people there are that have the infection at the time. And then if you happen to meet one of those, which is more likely when there's a lot of people who have it, there's also a chance you'll get it from them or not. And if you have some pre-existing immunity, maybe you've been vaccinated or you've had it before, then the chance of them passing it to you also goes down. So there's a lot.
So then how can maths help you?
It's really difficult to predict on an individual level if somebody will get it. But on a population level, with these nice big numbers, there's some things we can predict. When the epidemic will go up and when it will come down, we try and predict the peak. And we try and predict which groups might be at risk of infection. Over here, nobody has any protection against zombie infection. So we're going to expect a lot of cases and possibly quite quickly.
Okay, all right, let's give it a go. Is everyone ready? Everyone got their balls in their hand? All right, we're going to start this infection. Here's the zombie germs coming at you. I'm directly targeting people. Okay, already. So we've got actually a few different patches here.
We do, yeah, but it's starting to get a little bit frightening around here.
And it's travelling backwards through, and now forwards. A big cluster of zombies there right in the middle. How realistic is what they're doing compared to how real diseases spread?
Well, obviously, for real diseases, it's not quite so frightening as what's happening up here. But we use similar type of methods, using chance to pass on infection, to understand how real diseases spread around. So over here, there's going to be some protection against infection. And these people are going to be completely protected.
Okay, so those of you who you've got protective masks under your seat. And this makes you completely immune from zombie infections?
It does, yep.
Okay, so if the zombie germs touch you and you're wearing a face mask, you're wearing a protective mask, don't worry about anything. Don't put up your zombie mask. Don't throw any germs around. You're completely immune, and we'll see what happens now. And what's your prediction about what will happen in this case?
Well, there's a lot of protection up here, so I think the epidemic will be over very quickly, and maybe not many people will be infected.
Okay.
Fucking hell. Was that other woman presenter? Was she an actual zombie? She talked like one.
I don't know.
Looked and talked like one. Did you spot that kid in the 1984 T-shirt?
No, I didn't spot it, no.
There was a kid, when it panned round, there was a kid and he had a T-shirt that said 1984 across it.
Right.
I'm sure that's a coincidence.
It's all coincidence.
Yeah.
All of it.
It's just the exact same script for her.
Is that what, I mean, somebody put in the chat there, is that what the type of thing that they've got planned? Is that?
Well, I mean, from my crazy mind, the amount of zombie films that have been out in the last 15, 20 years, you kind of always thought that's what was going to happen, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or is it
well,
just
again? I Am Legend was a good example, wasn't it? What was the other one? The big one that the English guy did. Somebody just mentioned it actually. Bart Northeast just mentioned it. I missed it.
Oh, 28 Days Later.
That's right. Yeah.
Danny Boyle.
Danny Boyle, was it?
Yeah, who did?
What did he do as well? Olympics.
Did 28 Days Later, and then they did 28 months later, I think, did they?
Well, that lady there who delivered that is this lady here, Rosalind Ego, E-double-G-O. and she's associate professor at the London School of Hygiene, Tropical Medicine. I think that's where Whitty's professor.
Yeah, I think that other guy you just mentioned was from there, wasn't it?
Yeah. A lot of them are from there, and similar sort of thing. And that, where it's at the top there, the Medical Research Foundation, I think it's part of the Medical Research Council, which is a government-run thing. And if you see what they're winning there, and this was this year, May this year, celebrating our Nonsense Emerging Leaders Prize, which sounds very Schwabenistic.
Schwabenistic, that's a word.
Yeah, Schwabenistic.
So when did that come out again, that? Because I've seen that. I can't remember when I saw it.
The lecture, December 2019.
No, sorry, the zombie thing.
That 2019.
2019.
December 2019.
Wow. I've seen that. I don't know why I've seen it.
Richard Diol, he played it.
Did he?
Yeah, he played it. Anyway, she says, my general research interests are the role of population, heterogeneity, and in epidemics, and jib-jabs planning and evaluation. I work on influenza, respiratory, Ebola, and Zika, and theoretical aspects of disease transmission and control. She works for the Centre for the Mathematical Modelling of Infectious Diseases, called CMMID. All her research is funded by the same NGOs, London School of Hygiene, World Health Organization, the government, National Institutes of Health. The talks were held at the Royal Institution of Great Britain. The institution patrons and trustees include the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Kent. And the major funders are GSK, the Medical Research Council, Microsoft, Novartis, Michelle Pfizer, Rockefeller Foundation, Royal Society, the Paul G. Allen Foundation, who was the founder of Microsoft, the Wellcome Trust, and the Pilgrim Trust. So that's where that talk was held. So I did a bit of searching on Professor Hannah Fry, and she's got a company called Hannah Fry Limited, which is nothing bad about having a company. I've got a company. A lot of people have got companies. But her company in 2018, I had a look at the accounts, turned over just under 72 grand in 2018, 2019. In 2019, 2020, turned over 250 grand. It's quite a jump. In 2020, it turned over 300 grand, and last year it turned over 538 grand.
That's not too bad.
That's quite a sizable jump in television presenting fees and professorship fees.
Right.
So if you were a professor in 2019 earning 70 grand, for argument's sake, all of a sudden you're going to be doing a little bit more. Anyway, she works for companies like the BBC, the UCL, or University of London, and Whitty's School of Hygiene. All are heavily funded by Gates, Wellcome Trust, and other pharma companies. She's a British mathematician, author, lecturer, radio and television presenter, podcaster, and public speaker. In fact, I don't know if I've got a picture of this on here. I don't think I have. No, I haven't. I found the website of a management company saying you could hire her as a guest speaker if you wanted to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Fry was appointed lecturer professor at the University College of London in 2012. For a year, Fry decided to say yes to everything, which led her to trying stand-up comedy, TEDx talk, and television work. I know.
Mind you, I suppose that jab show were a comedy, wasn't it?
Yeah, she did a TEDx, and it's got over 5.2 million views. And she regularly appears on BBC Radio for doing Compute in Britain. In 2016, she co-presented Trainspotting Live with Peter Snow. She's written 3 books. They all need to write books. And she's a professor of mathematics of cities at the Centre for Advanced Spatial Analysis at the University College London. This is where it gets a bit interesting, because now you're starting to see what she really does. So she's presenting TV programmes, doing data tracking on people, yeah? And now she's been working for the Centre of Advanced Spatial Analysis, CASA, which was on here, the logo, I put it on here. See that CASA bit there at the bottom? there. That part there,
right,
just above Welcome Trust, is who she works for. And CASA was established in 1995, and it's a lead development of science of cities, drawing up methods and ideas in modelling, sensing the urban environment, visualisation and computation. We seek to examine and offer solutions to problems of resource and effective planning and governance shared by all cities. Our vision is to play a central role in the science of smart cities. Fry works alongside a unique mix of physicists, mathematicians, computer scientists, architects, geographers that study the patterns in human behaviour, particularly in urban settings. So she's part of the SWAB Smart Cities. She's part of that research. That's what she does. Her research applies to a wide range of social problems and questions, from shopping and transport to urban crime, riots and terrorism. And she has applied this research by advising and working alongside governments, police forces, supermarkets and health analysts. CASA researches the science of cities, working with the city governments and related research groups on simulating and visualising urban problems. Their work on the transport and movement has included London's Oyster Card. I don't know if anybody used that. I never used that. Public bike schemes such as London's bike hire scheme. Population segregation in large cities, as well as global climate warming change in the London region. So now we get into the crux of who she really is and what she's really about. In June 16, 2020, she and several other professors, who we'll come to in a minute, published a paper on behalf of the Centre for the Mathematical Modelling of Infectious Diseases, CMMID, DIVOT working group in The Lancet, called Effectiveness of Isolation, Testing, Contact Tracing and Physical Distancing on Reducing Transmission of DIVOC in Different Settings. And this is a mathematical modelling study. So they were writing about this quite early on, within 2 or 3 months of all this setting. So there's no way they're coming up with this in 2 or 3 months. And they're talking about all these things which we mentioned are basically Masonic rites of passage. And the 3 rites of passage in Scottish Masonry are separation or isolation, the transition or a time of testing, learning and growth, and then a return, the incorporation and regeneration, which is part of what she's doing at that CMMID. And they simulated, just to prove that, they simulated the effect of a range of different things: testing, isolation, tracing, and physical distancing scenarios.
Right.
This is a woman presenting TV shows to us, presenting and pretending that she's something else. They used the information that 2018 Hazelmere doc collected in that programme. A contact was defined as an interaction that either involved face-to-face conversation or physical contact, which broadly reflect interaction that either the types of close contact that have been linked to the DIVOT transmission. So they're coming up with scenarios and then coming up with math equations. So I walk past you, that's close contact. What does close contact mean? We hug each other, or I shake your hand, or
2 meters.
So they're coming up with these scenarios and then rolling it out across the country, that throwing ping pong balls into a crowd will spread something and you hold a mask. That is what they're doing, though, isn't it? That's as stupid as it becomes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they're taking the piss out of us, aren't they, with that ping pong?
Literally. This research was funded by all the normal people. So this is just one paper. I found several papers that they'd done, and a lot of these people were involved in these programs. But the funding was done by Wellcome Trust again, the UK Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council has a £1 billion budget. European Commission, Royal Society, Medical Research Council, I think that's got a £5 billion budget. You know, all these places have received massive sums of money, tens, if not hundreds of millions of pounds from the Gates Foundation, the Bill and Melvin Gates Foundation. For instance, the UCL where she works received 25 million in 2006 and was paid Gates. The UCL was paid by Gates nearly £1 million to influence the programme of work in the health sector of the government of Nigeria and its development partners. So that's an actual grant that was on the Gates Foundation's website that I saw that paid them £974,818 to influence the group, the Nigerian government.
What does that mean, influence? Just give them a suitcase?
Well, it's a broad term, isn't it? But yeah.
Briefcase full of cash.
So the people involved, that Adam Kukarowski or whatever he's called, he was involved, as we mentioned before. His research papers were funded by the Gates Foundation. You've got this lady here, Petra Klepak. She was involved in the TV program and this type of modelling. I like when they call it modelling, like it's you know, it sounds cool, doesn't it? Oh, you're going modelling, yeah, I'm going modelling, yeah, glamorous. You know, she's she's an assistant professor in infectious disease modelling, and epidemiology and population health. She's also a University of Cambridge Department of Applied Mathematics and Theoretical Physics.
So,
and she's a visiting researcher for Public Health England as well, with an honorary affiliation.
The money they give their money in grant form to these people, and then they go and spread, for instance, how you have to behave in a police station or a building site or whatever. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They come up with the rules, and they're getting so much money. They're not going to ever, even if they don't know at the beginning, they're not going to question where that 900,000 came from, are they?
No, and again, these people are in most walks of life. Even if you're in Nigeria, they're sort of behind the scenes. You don't see these people normally. I would say this is the first time, although we've had experts ruled out to us, it's the first time en masse that we've had all these experts ruled out. They don't like the camera. It's like you've lifted a rock on a load of beetles and they're scurrying around. They don't like being seen, you know. Whitty and Van Tampon, you know. Then they're not front of camera people, are they?
Well, no, not at all.
You know, they just don't like the daylight. That's what they look like.
You know, just that Van Tampon, they tried to make him into a character, didn't they? That he came up with football things. You know, it was just, I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? They just try and turn them into a character. They're not characters at all. They're blank.
No. No, they're not characters at all. But I mean, all these people are being paid off. I mean, she's done work for UNESCO. She was given an award, the L'Oreal Fellowship for Women in Science. You know, so she's also done work for the Sackler and Cambridge family. I mean, the Sackler Foundation and the Sackler family, they're the ones that came up with OxyContin. Kills 50,000 Americans a year. Not OxyContin on its own, but opioids in general. Yeah. You know, 50,000. I think they kill 5,000 people in this country a year.
Yeah, that's a scamdemic, isn't it?
Well,
don't need to talk about that though.
No, you don't need to talk. Then we've got another guy. I'm just going to point a couple of these people out because I don't want to. This guy, Andrew Conlon. He's part of this research process, but he's trained as a vet, so he's a vet. He looks into infections in livestock, but he says, I have interest in improving the control of measles and other infections, and his areas of interest are behaviour, big data, education, the geography of disease, global health, infectious diseases, and arm spears.
And cutting your
That's
cat's
his
knackers
areas
off.
of interest. Yeah. In this one research paper, there were 8 professors that are paid to push the narrative by us. We're paying for it ourselves, for these people to push the narrative on us. And if he walked past you in the street, you wouldn't think who he was. And is he dangerous? No, he's not physically dangerous or anything like that. But these are what is it? The pen's more powerful than the sword, and that is what's happening, isn't it? That is what's happening. And this was published in the Lancet as well, and we've covered the Lancet before. It's a peer-reviewed journal owned by a company called Elsevier, and they're a massive corporation. I think they've got revenues of over 7 billion euros, with a market value of $50 billion. So the Lancet, that's the one that Andrew Wakefield were in.
Yeah.
That got taken out. And the editor is a guy called Richard Horton. This guy. I mean...
like a vampire.
I mean, these people are in control of health, and not one of them looks healthy.
I was going to say, look at them bags under his jet black eyes.
But he's part of the United Nations. You know, he's served on the office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights.
I think
and a few days after the worldwide mobilization promoted by activist movement Extinction Rebellion, this is this guy, what he said. Horton asserted in a video that health professionals should involve themselves directly.
You know, that guy's doings playing on his soul by the look of his face, though.
Quite possibly. One guy that was covered a lot in that is this guy, and he was covered on. I think that professor who I mentioned at the beginning. I'll find his name again, but he's called Professor Adam Finn. He's a paediatrician from the University of Bristol, who was part of or instrumental in the 91 divot jib jab research. He just happens to be the leader of the Michelle Pfizer Centre of Excellence for Epidemiology of Arm Spears and Preventable Diseases, set up with an initial £4.6 million investment in May 2021. So he said in that programme, it's the one bit I've seen, that he said that I sit somewhere in between the government and the pharma companies, like an independent. He didn't say that, but that's what he was making out. And yet he is the leader of the Michelle Pfizer Centre of Excellence.
So he's not sitting in the middle of anything. He's proactive in the fact.
He's proactive in both sides, because they're both sides pushing it. He was chairman of the World Health Organization European Technical Advisory Group of experts on jib jabs since 2011. And he's the ex officio member of the World Health Organization Strategic Advisory Group of experts. So you could say it's pretty ingrained into the WHO. More than Roger Daltrey. This guy here is a member of the JCVI, the Health Joint Committee on Arm Spears and Immunisation. And he's an independent, Chris. I hate to think what the people who aren't independent are.
Is that from a news article, that picture?
Which one? The one on the right or the left?
Yeah, on the left looks like it's like a Sky thing, I think.
Well, that one there is
Good Morning Britain. Good Morning.
Yeah, that's Good Morning Britain. The other one's from the actual Michelle Pfizer website.
Right.
That's Blancock, and that's another guy, I forgot his name now. So these are the people that are part of this programme. It's not just about Fry, she's the front. These are the other people that are behind the scenes that are pushing all this stuff. A bit like Susan Mickey and all these other people. Mm. He was also elected in 2015 as a president for the European Society for Paediatric Infectious Diseases. And Finn is head, you're going to love this, of the Children's Arm Spear Centre at Bristol Hospital.
Oh, prick.
That's who these people are. This lady here, and I've got to say, give me the chills when I listen to this lady, but she's called Asma Khalil, and she's a professor of obstetrics. Anyway, at St George's Hospital at the University of London. She gained MD at the University of London in 2009, and she works at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine as well, and she got a degree from there. It turns out that she was a participant in the Bill and Melvin Gates Foundation funded simulation preparing for Disease X, ensuring arm-spear equity for pregnant women in future pandemics. That was in 2019.
Look at the smile. These are the people that want to kill you or want you sick, and they want to kill your kids as well.
Yeah. Results of which are reported in the paper that she co-authored in May 2022. I mean, these things are easily searchable, you know, and she was the one, right? Telling, in fact, I'll tell you what she did. Again, Professor Norman Fenton. You go to this website. This guy is one of the heroes. He's one person who is talking about all this stuff, and he's a fully fledged professor. He's of their ilk, like Mark Nesty, annoyed. And this is what he's to address concerns about fertility. Professor Fry introduces. This is from the program last week. Chanel and Naomi, both concerned about female fertility after the arm spear, and she presented Asma Khalil, a professor of obstetrics, I can't say that word, and maternal fetal medicine at St George's University Hospital in London, was conducted research into the effect of the arm spear on pregnant women. So this is a latest review looking at the outcomes of nearly 120,000 arm speared pregnant women, concluding that arm spears in pregnancy were safe.
How can you possibly say that?
So what this guy's done is gone into analysis, and he said it's important to know that the review of nearly 120,000 women, pregnant women, is actually a meta-analysis of what appears to be a cherry-picked study, many of which have obvious biases and flaws. So they basically picked people out who suit their answers.
Yeah.
So this is a list of Khalil's conflicts of interest. They include being part of the Michelle Pfizer Divot arm spear pregnancy trial. So she was part of that trial, Chris, and she's now advising people.
Right. Was she pregnant then?
Yeah.
She was?
No, she ain't pregnant. No, she was a professor running the trial.
All right, I thought you meant she was actually part of the trial.
No.
That's right.
Yeah. She also has a collaboration conflict with companies like Uscom, which is a cardiac diagnostic firm.
Right.
Roche Diagnostics, part of Roche Pharmaceuticals. They own the PCR testing patent.
Right.
Alia Diagnostics, which is a global manufacturer of rapid point-of-care diagnostics tests focused on cardiometabolic, infectious disease, and toxicology testing. Proact Medical Limited, which is patient monitoring, diagnostic, airway management, anesthesiatic, and resuscitation products to the NHS and private organisations.
Right.
So this is who she works for.
So where it just makes you wonder where everything's going if she works for all those respiratory, cardiac.
Funding for her study was provided by CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, which is focused on the World Health Organization Blueprint Priority Diseases. CEPI was conceived in 2015 and formally launched in 2017 at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. It was co-funded with $460 million from the Bill and Melvin Gates Foundation and the Wellcome Trust. So CEPI was established as the Global Arm Spear Development Fund.
You say CEPI or sepsis?
CEPI, well, exactly, Chris, exactly. Co-authored by the British medical researcher Jeremy Fahar. And Fahar is a director, and I think he's chairman, or he was, of the Wellcome Trust. And the Wellcome Trust, remember, is the foundation, the GSK Foundation. It was a spin-off from GSK. And I think it's got just under $30 billion to throw around the world. It's the largest NGO in Britain, and I think the fourth largest in the world, the Wellcome Trust. And this Jeremy Fahar, or Sir Jeremy Fahar, he's the director there, and he was a member of SAGE as well. And he was also part of 2 tabletop simulation exercises. In 2021, Fahar of the Wellcome Trust was part of the tabletop exercise for monkey business.
Right.
Yeah. The event was planned by a group called the Nuclear Threat Initiative. I mentioned it to you before because Lance brought it up a few months ago on their programme on Friday. And we talked about it on the last live one we did with them guys the other week. By the Nuclear Threat Initiative and the Munich Security Conference in cooperation with the World Health Organization and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The NTI is a non-profit, it's always non-profit, co-founded by Ted Turner, founder of CNN.
What's nuclear got to do with?
Well, I don't. Well, again, I'm not going to go into I've got a lot of information on them, but I'm not going to go into that. The Munich Conference is an annual meeting on international security policy held in Bavaria since 1963.
Right.
In a video produced for the exercise, the news reporter describes the monkey business is engineered by biological terrorists to resist arms spears.
Say that again, Dom.
So, in a video, and because obviously they're doing a simulation, so they've done a video like it's really happening. Yeah.
Right.
So, in the simulation, the news reporter describes monkey business. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a virus engineered by biological terrorists to resist arm spears. So arm spears don't work against it.
Right. Ah, right, I get you. You're right.
Yeah. Another simulation that Farah was involved with was a spreading plague, which was a planning exercise held in 2019 with senior leaders from around the world aimed at identifying gaps and making recommendations to improve the global system for responding to deliberate, high-consequence biological events. Now, what we've got to understand is that Wellcome Trust, although they look like they're giving all the money away, they're actually investing in corporations. So when these new tech companies come up who are inventing all this diagnostic testing, they give them a grant. And when they give them the grant, they take shareholding in that company. When that company then floats on the stock market, they benefit from that stock going up. So the more fear that they can put into the public, the higher the stocks can go up.
The more face snappers will buy.
The more face snap, whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Whatever, yeah.
And so we've got to understand that they're playing several different parts all at once. So he's the CEO, which is same of a trust or an NGO, which is like being CEO of GlaxoSmithKline.
Mm.
Because they're a spin-off from GlaxoSmithKline.
Mm.
So CEPI's creation was also supported and co-funded by the pharmaceutical industry, including GSK. With CEO Sir Andrew Whitty, I got a bit excited about that, but it's not his brother. It's spelled without the H. It's Witty. Explaining at the World Economic Forum, it is super disruptive when the red phone rings and our arms spear division, because of a health emergency. People do not realise that there's no spare capacity in the world or in the world's arms spear production system today. So this was before all this started. So this is the build-up that says, if somebody rings you on your red phone, the bat phone,
like Batman phone lighting up,
yeah, that there's no capacity, so we need to do something else to produce all these things. We need more money.
I'll be all right, to be fair. Just leave it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've come to sort of the end of that. He works for a global health company, United Health Group. It's called. It's got a market capitalisation of $400 billion and revenues of $285 billion. That's the interest, and that's owned by the Vanguard Group and BlackRock. He was knighted in 2012 for services to the economy and the UK pharmaceutical industry. One interesting thing about this Anna Fry, she was well, it's not interesting. I mean, it's sad, but she was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and the following month she underwent radical hysterectomy. But she was commissioned by BBC Two to write and present a documentary about her treatment and its long-term effects, like a fly-on-the-wall type documentary.
Right. Did that? I mean, you can't. I mean, was it the fact that
does that make it unquestionable after that point?
Yeah. You
know, does that mean that?
Well, it definitely ticks a box, doesn't it?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that this Farah, who's the guy on the left there, is involved in a paper with this guy here. Do you remember him? Stanley Plotkin.
Name rings a bell.
Professor Stanley Plotkin, who tested arm spears on orphans.
Right, yeah.
He admitted it under oath.
Oh, is that him? Right, yeah.
That's him, yeah.
That arrogant guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if we're arrogant. We just thought he were untouchable. Just
same thing.
Same thing, I suppose it is. Yeah. What I mean is, he was very matter of fact, wasn't he? He wasn't like he were.
No, he was. I'm bored of talking to you. Why are you bothering with this?
Did you test arm spears on orphans? Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember. And then he's like, I can't remember that bit. And yeah, they were horrible bloke.
Yeah, but
imagine that testing arm spears on orphans who've got no one to protect them.
Isn't that why they do it?
Yeah.
I mean, them prisoners, they're easy targets out of people in military.
Villagers in poor countries.
Yeah, they're easy targets, aren't they? We come to an end now. 2 hours already, Chris.
Mental.
Yeah, it's 2 hours.
Mental. Good information, though, Fatty.
Yeah, there's a lot of information there, and it's sort of like just pumped out. It's not like one of his normal.
Yeah, but it's necessary.
Chats.
It's necessary to be thrown out there into the ether, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it does make you a little bit annoyed when you're going through stuff like this.
Yeah.
On another note, doctors are on something totally different. Doctors are going to teach trans men or the bearded lady how to chest feed.
You sent me a thing on that. Do you know?
Is it real that, or is they just putting it out there?
You sent me an article. I think it was from the Daily Mail. I couldn't work out whether they were annoyed about it or they were promoting it.
Yeah. Well, either way, they're promoting it because it's there, isn't it?
Yeah. It makes no real difference whether they're promoting it or not. I mean, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah. Why are we having this discussion? That
he's amazing. It's been ramped up. How long's it been ramped up now? The
LGBT, CIA, FBI. Well, you said you hit the nail where you started getting cracked up when Obama said it.
Yeah, I'd never heard that word uttered until Obama said it.
Because obviously it's talking about Big Mike at home, isn't
it? He was on the news and he just said the LGBT community. I was like, what was he talking about? And I'd never heard it until he said it that time. I can't remember what context it was. And then, and I'd never heard it before. But now they're making it like it's historic. Like that word's always existed. It hasn't existed for very long.
Well, yeah, didn't they do the Rainbow 50-year thing? And they were making out that all this movement were on its way in like 1960s.
I'm sure there were marches against gay rights and stuff, but I don't know. It looked to me that they were trying to recreate history yet again.
What is real now, though, Chris? What is
anymore, have you?
No, what is real? I mean, if they can lie about something as big as this, what is actually real anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, some of the ridiculous stuff that they're coming out with at the minute is, it's just lunacy. And
Well,
you hear people talking in the street as like it's just normal. Or
the other pox has been risen to like a
monkey magic.
Yeah, monkey magic. It's been risen to a. There comes the cloud. It's been risen to what is it level, hasn't it? Same as COVID.
Right. By the World Health Organization.
Yeah, by that fella. So what they're going to do with that next? Is it literally going to be? I don't know. You can't even guess anymore. I was hoping for some kind of alien invasion, at least it'd be entertaining.
Yeah. You might have seen some sort of ships in the sky or something like that.
Yeah. A bit of Operation Blue Book, but at least be entertaining.
Yeah. But have you got what else you want to talk about? Say on there.
No, I don't think so. Far, you?
No, nothing. No, it's been a bit of different. Just me and you on it tonight. It seems quite quiet. Normally we've got people on talking in his ear, haven't we? But this has been more of an in-depth chat, not just a light. Well, I don't think anything we do is a light chat, but
and it can't help but make you a little bit angry when you look at all their smiling faces and all the profiles. But literally, they want to kill your children.
Well, that's why I probably haven't done a meet the flockers for a while, because when you do all that, I mean, I don't look at this as a deep dive. This would quite easy to pull off, and Lorraine did a lot of info, but I view this as just like a surface level dive because it was quite easy to find some of this stuff. But it does make you angry.
Yeah.
When you come across all these same people all the time, just pumping this nonsense out. Just a question, it might sound rhetorical and people in the chat can answer, but do you think all of these people know what they're part of?
I would hazard a guess that on the surface level, that woman did, Fry. She must do. I think she's fully paid up. But like a lot of those groups you talked about, probably a lot of them don't. And they probably get them on funding, don't they? As soon if they speak out, their funding's vanished.
Yeah.
And they're generating an awful lot of cash. But you can't say everyone in that group thinks they're doing something wrong, because they probably don't.
Well, it's like the World Economic Forum, isn't it? The World Economic Forum as a whole is spreading the nonsense, all the nonsense. But a lot of the people involved probably think they're helping. Just like somebody who's running the London Marathon, dressed as a London Big Ben or something like that. And
well, a good
example. Their money, go on.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I think and they're happy to run it and have pictures taken from on Instagram and
drink 200 Red Bulls and what have you.
Oh, really?
Raising some money, and they think that what they're doing is going to help the world. Just like probably a lawyer starts turning to be a lawyer, or
the best example is the last 2 years of this nonsense is doctors.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to see an example of someone who's happy to take the money, I mean, I'm sure some of them didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But if you're happy to take the money and you have a suspicion, I mean, I'm sure we've talked about that before.
Well, if you're a doctor and you take the money without a suspicion, then you're not doing your job, are you? Because you should be suspicious about everything that you give to. It's not like selling, I don't know, a dodgy can of Coke, is it? No. You're specifically giving people things that have side effects.
Yeah. Well, it's funny actually you've mentioned this, because a young kid at work I was working today, he said, "What's your opinion?" I don't know. Yeah, he said, "What's your opinion on like the opioid? Like you were saying, 50,000 people dead." And I was saying, well, it's something I've seen happen in my lifetime, because it was very rare to hear somebody taking antidepressants or whatever.
Yeah.
Now they give them out if you've broke up with your girlfriend. They literally give them out like Smarties.
Or if EastEnders were a poor show this week.
Or if it gets a bit hot.
If it gets a bit hot, they hand them out like confetti now. And all the time they're saying, we're going to stop handing these out like confetti, which actually drives people to want them even more. We're going to stop giving antibiotics out. We're going to stop giving.
I was just thinking that it's the same as antibiotics, wasn't it?
And also, look at the thing, right? They built antibiotics up as the saviour of the human race. Yeah. And now they're saying they don't work.
Yeah.
And through all this, when this bollocks started in 2020, they said there's nothing you can do. Nothing. Not a thing. The fantastic health and technology and all this other stuff that they've droned on about for years, nothing they could do.
Yeah. But then do you remember it seems even more ridiculous though when you think of the rush up to the arm spear. All the excitement, Wancock crying and all that shite.
And what about William Shakespeare?
Yeah, you're joking. Shake a spear at me.
Yeah. Shake a spear at me.
Guy who made up stories.
Who probably didn't exist in first place. And it was from Cov Entry. I mean, sometimes I've got to say, even before this, it were absolute nuts, but you have to sit back sometimes and think, what have I just lived through? What have we actually all experienced? You look back to 2020, when these tits were out on the doorstep, banging fucking pots and pans. That video that I showed at the beginning, banging pots and pans.
I know I've mentioned this. My next door neighbour, I heard him say, they're not banging, they're not clapping next door.
I mean, I don't know if anybody else had that, but fortunately, there's not many people live around here near me. But they were out. They were all banging. In fact, some of them were letting fireworks off.
Might as well. We've got a few left over from November.
I mean, you just can't believe what you.
But then look what happened. They got thrown straight under the bus. The NHS got thrown straight under the bus. Yeah. If you don't have the arm spear, you're out of a job.
Yeah, and all that pressure and stress that they put these care workers and things like that under. Somebody mentioned that other lady, Maggie Keener, who was, I think, that William Shakespeare's brown bread now, I think, with Captain Tom.
Wouldn't say where's Captain Tom.
Whose family raided the treasure chest of charity.
Well, one of them on 500 grand or something.
I don't know what it was, but I mean, it's always going to happen, isn't it? Come on, I mean, it's just obvious.
Well, to be fair, they're pointing fingers at possibly a normal family and saying they're ripping everyone off when actually everyone's ripping everyone off.
Yeah, and you don't actually know what happened here because it's but when you look back at the 2020, we knew that there was something happening. I can't say I knew that this was going to happen, but the build up to all that, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat knew that you could feel something building up. Something was speeding up.
Yeah.
That I recognised it through the health perspective, where they were speeding up. You know, the arm spears. If you think when our two oldest were born, and then say my middle one, and then my youngest lad, and then your daughter, the difference in how many spears they have to have. You know,
what is it now? Is it 30 odd? I think
my daughter was born in 2005, and they were about, I don't know, 6 or 7, well, like early double figures type of thing. When the two eldest were born, they were like 3 or 4. Now it's in 30s.
Yeah, all grouped together in 6s and stuff.
All grouped together as 4s and 5s.
I think it works out at about 15 because I get the thing saying, have you kept up with the jibby jabs? I think it's about 15 actual visits, isn't it? But equates to about 35 doses.
Yeah, but it's not just that. The amount of mental torture that they put you through, the amount of sort of like propaganda that you have to go through. You know, the letters they send you, that was cranked up. I mean, you mentioned that you go past the doctors and there's bunting. Come and get your kung
I took
flu,
a picture and sent it to you. There was a bunting for the flu jibby jab years ago. That's going back some years. That is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know I've said this before, but it stressed me out when my nipple were born, even though I knew what I was going to do, which was nothing. But it still stresses you out, doesn't it? Because it's your child. But I've said this before, so I would recommend going to sheepfarm.co.uk and watching that
History of Jib Jabs.
Yeah, History of Jib Jabs you put on the video section. Because I watched that recently.
He sums that up pretty well, doesn't he?
He sums it up very well. And I told George Jake to watch it as well.
Yeah.
He said he would. It's only an hour and a half, but he sums it all up. And the guy seems pretty good.
Yeah. Well, again,
makes it quite concise.
The amount of letters we got for our youngest, I know you got them for yours, in comparison to the older ones, is, well, it's on a par with any form of double glazing salesman. No, but the way they sort of entice you, it's like the child catcher. You know, the way they entice you in with, you know, and the type of horror shows they give you if you're not going to have it.
Well, I know we took our nipper to the hospital. I think she had whooping cough, and that's one of the jibby jabs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of the night, and my missus gave us some cough medicine, which is like the worst thing you can do, apparently. So it was like a kind of it was quite disturbing. Like,
didn't say it on cough. I bet it didn't say it on cough medicine thing, though, did it?
No. But we went to the hospital, and it was in the middle of the night. And apparently, if you've got it, do they call it croup now?
Yeah, croup. Yeah.
And in there, they said everyone. Honestly, there was half a dozen kids all doing the same thing. Because apparently, it comes on in the evening. And they said she got croup. So if they'd all got croup and they'd all been jibby jabbed, what's whooping cough?
Yeah.
They just relabeled it, hadn't they?
Well, like all this stuff, they rebranded it.
And all the kids in there had it.
Yeah. They just rebrand them.
Who's talking to?
Nick's talking to me. Mrs. Sheep Farm.
Sod off, Nick. I'm trying to do a live podcast.
Yeah, no, just trying to get my phone, checking my texts. Yeah, we're live. We're live. I'm getting pestered by.
John's getting a bollocking live on air.
I'm getting a bollocking live on air. You see the fear in my eyes. I'm getting told what to do. You've seen it there. I'm not this. I'm not a tough character. I'm getting
whipped.
Yeah, I'm whipped, man. Whipped. But I tell you the other thing. I know we're just talking here, so it's just is that when all these send letters, you know, you'll have got them from National Horror Service, National Horror Service, and the texture, the texture, and they just sell you constant. I mean, that must have been practiced for this crap, because that was en masse, wasn't it, with this nonsense. That is a slow build-up where they put it in newspapers. Not that I buy newspapers, you know, a kid who's got one of these infections with tubes and stuff like that in them. And then the month after, they're saying less kids are having this arm spear. And it's all part of that same process, isn't it?
It is a full-on. It's just a sales pitch, isn't it? It's a full-on sales pitch. They've got multi-billions of pounds behind it.
But thinking about the Mad Men film, you could see teams of these people just coming up with these. I remember when we started selling mobile phones in early 90s, 1991. I remember the first Cellnet, if anybody remembers Cellnet, which sounds a bit of an ominous name now. But Cellnet's advert was a lady holding a baby, broken down with a bonnet up. A bonnet on the car.
I do remember that.
On the moors, with smoke coming out of the bonnet. And she's on the phone. Basically, that you need a phone because if you break down on moors, I mean, it happens a lot that. You break down on, BT Cellnet Rise and Shine's put there. You break down on moors, you need a phone. And what they forgot to tell you, like all these arm spear adverts, is that in fact, I've got a funny story about Jacko, BT sold it. He met Jacko, if you're still in, I'm sorry about this, but I'm going to have to tell it. He met a girl, and we called it BT Cellnet Bird, because he were on Vodafone, and at the time, if you cross networks, obviously it were more expensive. And within about a day, he got a BT Cellnet phone. Sorry, Jacko. But yeah, so adverts running like that, which is the same type
Pure
of
fear.
advert.
Yeah.
Fear-based adverts to get you to get a phone. So even in the early days, it were a life or death reason to have a phone.
Yeah.
And they were telling us
about that. What about?
But they were telling BT were telling us in 1991 in the next 30 or 40 years that nobody will be using landlines.
You're right.
They were telling us this. Vodafone were telling us this.
I remember you telling me when you started your mobile phone business, by 2000 everyone will have a number. And I remember thinking, you're fucking mental. And that literally happened, didn't
It's
it?
what they were telling us. This is what they were telling us. Because they was, again...
You think it was
like
self-destroyed then?
like the technology where they're giving it all away free. Mobile phones started in the 90s where they were giving line rental free line rental, free phone, free this, and it were all free. So when when something's free, and we've covered this before, and lots of other people have, there's a deal with the devil somewhere down the line to be paid back, isn't there? And it's same with the National Horror Show, the NHS, that when they're giving these free arm spears out to kids, it's the same principle, isn't it?
Someone said in the chat, my shapeshifter is my...
No, you look all right at this end, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
on YouTube I've blobbed out.
Yeah, quality. Oh, you've come back now. You've come back now.
Oh my God!
You're doing that thing, aren't you? Like Gemma Bush.
Yeah, that proves it's not real because I'm definitely not a shapeshifter, as far as I know.
And in microphone's doing it as well. It's slightly different than the other one, isn't it?
All right.
Quality. You're not doing it on the restream part.
I'm doing it on YouTube.
It said Chris has got Hulk pox.
That looks so creepy though. I just looked on YouTube.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does that make me a shape? Does that mean I'm a bloody reptile or something?
I think you're a reptile.
It's fully bugged out as well, Fire, on YouTube. It's fully bugged out. It's not coming back either.
It's all right on restream. No, it's gone back down.
No, it is. No, if you look on YouTube, are you watching YouTube?
Yeah. Somebody just sent me a picture of it. Lorraine sent me a picture of it.
It just looked very creepy.
Yeah. You're having an attached Master Lee, it'd say. Maybe you've gone LGBT.
Maybe it's my bottle of wine.
Maybe you've gone LGBT. That might be what it is. You might be the rainbow.
Green. I'm fully green.
You went Skittles then, didn't you?
I'm fully green, like a bloody munged up face.
On mine now, it's gone back to normal.
Yeah, but look on YouTube, Fire.
I'm looking at YouTube. It's gone back to normal on mine.
Oh really? I think you watch it live, although this is delayed, isn't it?
No, I'm watching. I've got two screens. I'm watching our restream one, and you've just gone again. That was weird. That it's freaking me out now. Are you really my brother?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I'm even myself.
The bots are back in town. Somebody's Cheech McDuck's put.
Yeah, but so I suppose that kind of disproves everything we talk about with those Harlequin.
You don't know what it proves. I don't know what it proves. Chris.
Unless I'm a
somebody's
robot,
put shapeshifter.
Unless I'm a full-on robot and I don't even know, like Philip K. Dick style.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Quite possible. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. We've got up to 10.
I've come back now. Come back on YouTube. What I'm looking at, it's gone away.
You've been beamed up. Somebody said it's the sex bots.
How weird. Anyway.
Yeah. It's that T-shirt somebody said. I can't. Going too quick. Chat's going too quick. I can't even choose them. My eyes are going blurred.
You can't think in a conspiratorial, insane way that we do. That my microphone's all weird on that one. Yeah.
Somebody said it's a line. Bath North East said it's a line.
Could be, couldn't it? That could be my attachment. It is a bit of an
body snatchers. Somebody else has put. I wish I had a controller that did it to yours to freak you out a bit. I haven't. I can't be blamed for that. But,
well, I think we had 435 watching live. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
To watch you turning into a lizard.
I know. Maybe I am. I've been feeling a bit weird lately.
You've been taken over.
Yeah.
Somebody's put here, Dom told you to witch piss. But right, okay, we will go. Unless you want us to talk for another 10 minutes.
Me, no, I'm working at 6. I've got to get up at 6 tomorrow. I'm working at 7.
I'm going to go as well. I'm not going to be on here on my own anyway. That would scare me. So we'll catch up with you next time. We'll do something else. Hope you enjoyed what we've done. Thanks for tuning in. See you all
Goodbye.
At some other point.
And by the way, you can still buy Sheep Farm bottle openers on my Gaping Gobs Etsy website. Sold quite a few, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, not loads, but a few.
Right. All right, we'll see you in a bit. See you later, everybody. I can't say everybody's name, sadly, but bye.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
Will grow old, then I will die. I'll be a part of the oceans and sky. When I was young, before my life, I was a